Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Missile Industries Ford Falcon 351 GS Wagon Project. Now, I have a bit of a confession to make, because way back when I bought this car home and all its crustiness and broken and cracked and damaged bits and bobs, I decided I wasn't going to use the GS grille that came with the car, and instead I was going to get rid of it and think of another solution further down the track if I decided the car was worth fixing. So I put it on Facebook Marketplace and it sold in a matter of days with a great deal of interest. So I got $1,500 for it, and with that $1,500 I deployed it into all the missing parts for this car that I would need to get that engine back in the engine bay and get it fired up. And it's largely been a success. The problem with that is I now have no headlight assembly, no grille assembly, and all those pieces are missing. But last weekend, while I was getting chopped up guards, I picked up that grille that I may have mentioned 1 or 2 or 3 times. And today I'm going to explain myself, because if I get this car back on the road, it's going to need some kind of grille and headlight assembly, and I've always been a big fan of the round headlight grille. Not a fan of the square headlight grille. So as far as I was concerned, if I could just find a Falcon 500 round headlight assembly that wasn't destroyed, I'd just get that. And at the time I thought that would be a simple task, but after I started fossicking around trying to find the pieces, all I really could find was like a grille here and a headlight bucket there and stainless steel rings here and there. So what I've actually done is cobbled all the parts together that I think I will need to get a round headlight Falcon 500 grille back onto this crusty wagon. Now, I did actually have a Falcon 500 grille on this XC way back when I bought it, but it was smashed up, it was in bad shape, and I decided I would rather put this mint GS grille on it that I found down in the depths of South Australia. And that project was a resounding success. But that was 2 years ago. And obviously, it's time has worn on and these parts have become increasingly scarce. So I have no intention of buying a mint condition one of these, even if I could find one, because they are big, big dollars. And for the sake of this project, a basic solution will do. So what we have down here is the said Falcon 500 grille. Now this is in mint condition, and this has been in a 70-year-old man's garage for decades, and it's surplus to his requirements now, so all his bits and bobs are being sold off. Now this has got no damage, no broken lugs, the chrome is in perfect order, there are no cracks in it anywhere, so as far as I'm concerned, that's perfect for what I need. So as things stand at the moment, if you add the $300 for the grille up for all these bits and bobs that I've recently bought, these are the buckets for the round headlight assembly, chrome rings, chrome buckets for these are actually off an XM or an XP. I'm going to take a punt, they're the same as the XC right the way through. I've got the 2 indicators, and I've got 2 sealed beam headlights. Now I'm a big fan of sealed beam headlights because they don't corrode or pit, and if they do start to go off, you just throw them away and get new ones. So I'm going with a sealed beam headlight assembly for this project, and so far I'm into it $565 to replace my GS grille. So this might have been a bad idea at the beginning, but the goal here was to get all the parts onto my 351 engine without investing any more of my capital into this car. Now, I don't really know if this car is going to be a viable project or just some kind of piece of garage art at this stage, because I don't know whether the engine's any good or the transmission's any good. So right now I'm just trying to cobble it all together for as few dollars as possible and have at the end of it a complete car, even if it is a total basket case. Here are the 2 cheapest XC indicator lenses that I could find on eBay. And this one was $11 and this one was $10. There's a fair amount of crust on this one, which I suspect will clean off if I give it a bit of a scrub. So they will do the trick for indicator lenses for my grille. As I mentioned earlier, these are the frames for the round headlight assemblies for the Falcon 500. These are $100 off Gumtree. Some guy in New South Wales had them up for sale for 76 weeks. July came along. Fortunately for me, when I pulled the old grille off my wagon, I put all the nuts and bolts aside and then forgot to give them to the buyer when the buyer came to pick up the grille. So I still have all the mounting nuts for these frames, so that's handy. These are going to need a bit of a clean up, but they look largely complete. I'm going to take a punt that because they all take the same 7-inch globe, they're all going to be much of a muchness. And these are only $40 with some pitting. And I'm not really that concerned about any kind of pitting or blemishes because this is not going to be any kind of show car. So that XMXP, that looks like a viable punt that I'm prepared to take. And I've hit a snag. It appears that these XM buckets are for a left-hand drive car because these adjusters orientate the lenses to the right, where they should be orientating it to the left, because the lugs for the backing plates will orientate the lens to the left after adjustment. But once you line everything up so the bulb sits properly in the frame, these adjusters suitable to adjust to the right, which is not what we want. So these buckets and rings might be a big old fail. The more I look at this, the more I realise these XM buckets just aren't going to work. The chrome rings, the lugs stick out and interfere with the grille, and obviously the orientation of the buckets is wrong. So what I'm going to do now is chop these buckets up, because obviously they're no use to me as they are. So I may as well get hacking and see if I can cobble something useful together that will hold these lights in place. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I should just change the orientation of the locating lugs on these buckets to suit the orientation that I want, rather than like that, and I'll just cut new slots in this bucket to suit these globes, and that should work. So I'm going to use the other bucket to help scribe the marks where I want them, for the orientation to be correct with the lugs to be on the correct side, and I take this one away, and that gives me an idea where I need to cut, so that the lugs for this bulb sit in here without turning. I mean, it looks as though someone actually has just plopped these into here and then bolted the chrome rings down on them until they've compressed the bulbs into the housings. Well, they're pretty cheap to replace, so actually no, I've got to fold these tabs over, so I'm going to go with my plan. globe is seated and the adjuster tabs are orientated correctly, I've folded the tabs for the bucket down so the rings will sit flush, and I've re-drilled the buckets so the ring will fit in and the tabs won't stick out. So this is looking pretty workable. Here is the finished product. Those XM buckets appear to be working at this stage. I've folded all the tabs flat and re-drilled them so the rings fit onto the buckets and the globes secured in the right orientation and the lugs match the backing plates. All I need now is a spring to go in there, and this bucket will, in my opinion, be fit for purpose. What I think we have here is a workable solution. All the tabs are out of the way of the frame of the grille now, and the adjuster tabs aren't going to pose too much of a drama as long as I don't put the inner liner for this grille headlight assembly back in, which I don't have anyway. So let's just go with that. I just need to modify the other headlight bucket and do the same thing again and find 2 retaining springs, and this will totally work. Alright, summary time for episode 7 of Missile Industries' Crusty XC351 Wagon Project, and I'm going to claim that as a victory. Those XM rings and buckets have been made to work with a little bit of backyard modification in the XC round headlight frames. So all I need now is a couple of springs to tension these headlights in place and they'll be good to go. So victory. Hopefully when I get ready to put the grille back in the car it'll all make sense. I don't mind that. Maybe I'll take the cover off and see what it looks like. Maybe. Let me get it square though.